G'day everyone, how you going? Not much. So, welcome to the podcast. Not much going on, but we're going to talk about what has been going on. I'm your host, Liam Hennessy, and with me will be usually Winston. He's not at my feet at the moment. He just went out. He must have had to go do a piss or something. But if we hear him bark, that means there's a dog walking past our house. So just a heads up, we might have some input from Winston from time to time. If there is a dog walking past, he will let us know. So, the idea of this podcast is, well, to be honest, not much. I just wanted to do something different, something a bit more creative. It might help out things here and there, but I think what has kicked off my idea of doing a podcast was I was inspired from my friends. My friends have started podcasts this year recently. It's I'm going to give a couple of shout outs to Joe and Ryan with the Playbook podcast. It's an absolute banger. Also, Nick and his mates have started one called The Corrective Culture, and that is to do with fitness and just the science behind the body. And then also my friend Brittany Saunders has one called A Whole Lot of BS. I love that one. She's always got some good shit to say and a whole lot of bullshit, which is great too. So I think when I started listening to podcasts was when I started running. So I was training for a marathon this year, and fortunately I didn't give up. Some things got cancelled, a few plans, and because of the COVID, it got cancelled. Usually everything has been cancelled this year, let's be honest. And I think we're at a point now where people don't have to say why. It's just like, we're planning to do this, but it got cancelled because of COVID. It's like, I know. Why else did it get cancelled? Because it was shit weather. I don't know. But so the marathon I was planning on doing was going to be in May. I was going to be up at Noosa, but it got cancelled clearly because of COVID. And I thought, you know what? I'm not letting this stop what I was planning on doing. But this has got nothing to do with what's going on. The reason why I started a podcast is because I was listening to podcasts as I was training for the marathon. So that's why I guess I got into it, because my friends that were doing one, they helped me get through the training period. So whatever you're doing right now, whether it be walking, I hope you have a great walk. I hope you smash them 10,000 steps a day. I hope you get 20,000. If you're going for a run, I reckon we're going to smash a little extra cheeky kilometre onto the end of it. If you're going for a drive, you might have to take the scenic route home. And if you're at home, sitting on the bed, sitting on the couch, get comfy, because this is probably going to take about half an hour, maybe a little bit more. It's probably going to be my life story, to be honest. To kick things off with this podcast, for the first few episodes, I just want to tell a couple of stories, a little bit of a get to know me. I've been into some funny situations, I think, in the past couple of years. But I think to get to know someone, maybe you need to know about the things that they've been through first. And looking at my Facebook, there's only a bit of an about me. Actually, before I do that, I just need to let Winston in. He's at the door. He's just let me know that he's back from his piss. In your bed. Sit. He's just looking at me at the moment, so we just need to sort this situation out before we continue. So, a bit of an about me, and you'll get to know me a bit more. We're just going to go through a few dot points. I turned 30 the other day, the big 30, and I thought that might be a great way to start the podcast. When you turn 30, the first thing most people say is, "Oh, you're getting old now." That's what you all sound like. But there's a few ways of looking at it. Some people say, "Don't worry, 30's the new 20." I look at it as 30 being the new 40, because when you're 30, there's a few things that start creeping into you, like the body. And that number one thing I think for most people is having a sore back. And for me, I work in construction as well as doing shred life, so I can blame construction for why I have a sore back from time to time when I wake up of a morning or just moving around. But I don't think it matters what industry. I think it's just that age where things start creeping in. So I know I'm not the only one, because if you've got kids, you probably got a sore back from lifting them all day. I mean, if you're at a computer, you're just looking at a screen all day, you're sitting down, you hop up, guess what? Sore back. I mean, you might have a job in retail where you got to stand all day, guess what? Sore back. So I don't think it really matters what industry you're in. We're just at that age where a lot of us are having sore backs. And I think that is honestly probably the real pandemic that's happening. We need stronger backs, because the human race, I think, will evolve a lot better and a lot stronger if we have stronger backs. So yeah, anyway. All right, so before we kick off, just a quick word from our sponsors, and then we'll just dive straight into it.
Hi everyone, I'm Daryl from Daryl's Music Den, and this weekend, due to a refund I can't get on Interstate Airbnb, we've got a massive sale. Gibson Les Paul guitars worth $7,000 this weekend, $6. Mapex drum kits / worth 12 grand this weekend, $12. We've also got a free sausage sizzle, so bring the kids, bring the dog, bring your missus, and make sure you come down before you go to Bunnings for breakfast. Daryl's Music Den this Saturday. See you there.
All right, fantastic. So we're back and let's kick it off. So I'm going to start straight away. Like I said, I'm 30, so let's go from the beginning. 1990, the world changed. I was born in Sydney, in Sutherland Shire. Some people probably don't know that I was actually born in New South Wales, but yeah, that's where I was born. I had no choice in the matter, just what mum and dad had planned. And I, started life off there. I've got 2 older brothers. One lives in Brisbane. He's a bit older than me. His name's Tyler. He's heavily tattooed and he's probably far more creative than I am. He's very interesting and we might get him on a podcast one day. That might be something different. I've got another older brother as well. He lives in Melbourne. He's just doing his thing down there. And my parents just recently moved up to Bundaberg. They live on a golf course. That rules. So when I go up there, it's just golf's on. Actually, for those that play golf, this golf course that they're on up in Bundaberg, where is it? Coral Cove. There's a par 6 there, a par 6. So it's a bloody long hole. It's like 600 and something meters. But my first hurdle in life was when I was 1 year old. I had my first hurdle. I had meningitis. There was a bit of a pandemic itself going on in Sydney at the time. A lot of kids were sadly dying from it. I was one of the ones that caught it. And the vaccine came out about 6 months after I had it. So I think there was a vaccine when I had it, but they weren't giving it out for some reason. They must have been doing the testing period. But I remember mum she brings it up every year for my birthday that we nearly lost you when you were 1. I thought, you know what? No, not today. I've got heaps of shit to do. So I pushed through it, got through it. And here I am today doing a podcast. Actually, on that note, here doing a podcast, I was actually shitting myself before I started this. So I was backstage, my kitchen, warming up the vocals. And I just like, why am I getting nervous? I'm just at home by myself. Tennille's in the bedroom. She's on the phone, gas bagging to someone. Winston's just doing his thing. But for some reason, I was just nervous. And I'm okay at performing. Like, this is me currently putting on a podcast performance. But if it's to do with like wedding speeches or even going on stage, I always get nervous before I do the thing. But then when I'm doing the thing, I'm fine. So like I'm doing the thing now and I'm okay. But a few moments ago, I was a bit scared. Like if you play sports, you get nervous before you go out and play whatever you're playing. But yeah, here I was a bit nervous before this. And hopefully that goes away after a bit. I don't know why. I'm just just a thing. But so I had meningitis, got through that. That was when I was 1. Let's skip forward a few years. Preschool, I went to preschool in Engadine. Engadine is where we lived. And I still remember my first day of preschool. I had 4 friends, William, Josh, Michelle, and Michael. Big shout out to them guys. I hope you're listening. Probably not. But I remember little toilets because my first day of preschool, that's what I noticed, because you don't have your little toilets at home. You only got a big toilet and a potty. But then when I saw that, I was like, these are great. Why don't we have these at home? But it makes sense when you're older. Like, you're only going to have them for a short period of time. And there's always little kids at preschool. That's why they have them there. Anyway, that makes sense now. And yeah, let's go forward a few more years. I went to Martin Primary School with my brothers. That was just another primary school in Engadine. What happened there? I think my brother got expelled from there. I forget why. I think he was just playing up too much. He went to another school after a bit. But so I did most of Martin Primary by myself. And yeah, that was a thing. I got my bike license there so I could ride to school, my bike license. Also got my pen license at my Martin Primary School. So I legally allowed to write with a pen. Got introduced to footy when I was 8 years old. I still remember the first night I watched football. I actually brought this up on Kurt's podcast. And that was, I was sitting down with Dad one day watching footy. And it was Friday night footy, Channel 9, Ray Warren. And when we were watching it, it was Melbourne Storm's first game, or one of their first games. Now, we all know I'm a big Melbourne Storm fan. I do support the Storm. And as most things, when you're into a team where you're heavily involved with supporting something, it usually starts when you're a kid. This is how it started for me. So we're watching footy. I was heaps into the Melbourne Storm, like the colours. I didn't know where Melbourne was, but they won that game. They were versing the Cronulla Sharks. Dad was hoping I was going to go for the Cronulla Sharks because my uncle actually did a few first grade games for him And because we kind of grew up in Cronulla in that area. My cousins still live there. But no, I just didn't really care. I was just, I'll go for Melbourne. They won. That was sick. And then I just kept following them after that. And one day we were out in Engadine and we're at Video Easy. Dad happened to know the captain of the Melbourne Storm's dad. His name, the captain at the time, or co-captain, was Robbie Kearns. He knew his dad, Bobby Kearns, because he went to school with him. Anyway, we're at Video Easy. Dad comes up to me with this bloke and says, "Do you recognise this guy?" I'm like, "Kind of looks like Robbie Kearns." This is me being 8. And he goes, "Yeah, this is his dad, Bobby." Anyway, nice to meet you, Liam. Why don't you boys come around? I'll give you a gift. Anyway, go around his house, and then Bobby gives me this signed poster from the Melbourne Storm. I still got it to this day. It's laminated and just signed by the whole team. So I'm 8 years old, frothing up that I've got my favourite team signatures, and I kept it. But that's what made my love for rugby league kind of kick off when I was 8. So the following year, 9 years old, I sign up for the under-9s Bosco Bulldogs, get put on the wing, always scoring tries in the corner or under the sticks if I was quick enough to run around them. And that's kind of how rugby league started for me. Now, there's one thing that I'll quickly touch on. I remember I got put into a halfback role at once. This was under 10s, and this was at school footy. And I remember what I was doing, I was going to kick it for touch. We had a penalty. I was going to kick it for touch, and it was a bit too far. Everyone in the team was like, "No, Liam, don't. You won't make it. You won't make it." I'm like, "Boys, trust me, I got it." Anyway, went to kick it, didn't make it. Team grabbed it, scored a try. We lost the game. It was a knockout comp. Anyway, dickhead here regrets it. And then, so I'll never let that down. Fortunately, with social media, I've kept in touch with a few friends from primary school. One of them being Braden. He reminds me all the time that I never made it. So that's the thing. In the year 2000, I moved to Queensland. So I've lived in Queensland for 20 years now. Go Queensland. And I remember being shit scared when we moved up. I didn't want to move up because I didn't want to be that new kid at school. So we moved to Noosa, and I still remember my first day of school because I was a bit scared and a bit nervous. And when one of my first friends was Jake Friend. Now, Jake Friend, he plays rugby league now for the Sydney Roosters. And it was just coincidence that he sat next to me in class. He was my first friend, and that's what kept me playing footy because he was playing for Noosa Pirates. His dad was the coach. And then I signed up for footy pretty much straight away as soon as I moved to Queensland. So that was the under 11s. That year was also a tough year because I got in the car one day after school. Mum was upset. This is a heavy story. We're going dark for a minute. And I still remember the day. I'll never forget it. The mum was upset. I go, "What's wrong?" And she goes, "Dad's got cancer." So you could imagine being 11 years old, you kind of assume the worst. You move to Queensland, you've only got a few friends, and your dad has cancer. That sucks. That was a heavy time. I was only 11. But fortunately, because of science and doctors and hospitals and things, Dad smashed it, got through it. Like, he was riddled with cancer, had like cancer in his tumors in his throat, esophagus, his stomach. And he got it all ripped out, and he's all good. Apparently, the way he describes it is that they've stretched his stomach up to his throat. But doctors, science, how good. Okay, so that was a thing. That was scary, being 11 years old. But, I was playing footy at the time as well. We got through it. Here's a fun thing that happened during footy. Another one of Dad's friends. Dad's friends with bloody everyone, I swear. Before, what's his name? Ray Warren. There used to be a presenter on, if you look back, even if you YouTube it, there was a presenter and his name was Daryl Eastlake. Dad was friends with Daryl Eastlake and he was in Queensland for the time. And I remember he brought him to practice once. And it was funny because I remember just getting in the car on the way home and then he's just hearing Daryl. He sounded like Ray Warren to me, but just having like a commentator in the car talking to Dad was just hilarious. Like, I thought that, I don't know, for some reason I remember that. That was funny. One of Dad's mates. Anyway, okay, so in 2002, year 7, that's when I started skating. So I kind of got over footy at that stage. I realised, hang on, I'm not going to put on another 100 kilos, so I probably won't play footy, but I was into skating. So my brother was into skating. He was like one of the more popular skaters in Noosa. And I got into that. And that took off pretty quick because we made a little crew, me and my mate Michael. Hang on, I just got to let Winston out. He wants to take a piss, I think. So Michael and I, we had this crew, and it's called NRNF. That stood for No Risk, No Fun. We had some skate videos, and we had we had no fear. We were little shredders, that's where my love for skateboarding happened. That was around the time probably Tony Hawk's Pro Skater came out. Pretty frothing that there's going to be a remake coming out soon. And that's just my love for skateboarding. It happened there, got heaps into it. We made some skate videos and we kind of got a few local sponsors. They were just local skate shops. We got not really sponsors, more endorsements or flow, I think some people call it. But what it was, we went in there, gave them our skate video. We made 3 volumes, or we made 2 volumes. Volume 3 never came out. But the first 2 volumes we sent into these skate shops and we got some like free shirts, free skateboards, and that was sick. But one day I got, when we were getting stuff, I think now looking back from owning a brand, I knew what we were doing. I knew what we were doing now, and I knew what the shop owner, Stuart, I knew what he was doing. So Stuart was hoping we would be the little kids, little shredders that would bring more customers into his store. Now, being an older person, I know now that when I get messages on Shred Life from kids wanting free shit, they're not really kind of promoting things. What they want to do is get free stuff so they can go to the skate park and flex off that they've got free stuff and they're sponsored. That's what we were doing back then. So we were getting free stuff from the store. We were going to the skate park and just telling everyone that we're sponsored. So sorry, Stewie, because I wish we helped you out a bit more. Now looking back from the position that I'm in now, that's what I wish I did for you. Sorry, mate. But what I did do is I got a tab at Wide Awake Board Sports. This is one of the places that we were sponsored by. Wide Awake Board Sports, he gave me this endorsement, but then he also gave me a tab. And the tab was basically just take whatever you want and we'll, you can pay us back whenever you can. I ended up racking up a $500 bill. And he ended up ringing Dad saying, yeah, Liam owes this $500. Dad paid it, thankfully, but he was pretty pissed off at me at the time. But I had to pay Dad back. So a really grown-up thing I did was I was 14 and 9 months old, which is apparently the age you can get a job, or it was back then. Got a job at Macca's, did my thing. Now, Macca's, that was a pretty shitty job. I did not really like working there. You get yelled at a lot, like, because you got your 16-year-old managers yelling at 14-year-old kids. I remember, like, I probably shouldn't have been working there. I was a bit of a prick. So if my mates came through and I said, order 10 nuggets, I'll hook you up. You can fit 30 nuggets in a 10 nuggets, trust me. So that's what I used to do. So I did that for a bit, but skating kind of took its toll. That was for a couple of years, but I still love skating. I love doing it. I wish my body could still do what my brain wants it to do, but it just can't. Something to do with probably having a sore back. No, actually, this is how I got into guitar. So in high school, I went to Sunshine Beach High. In probably grade 10 maybe. I got a little list here of the years that I started doing stuff. So 2005, played guitar. I must have been 15. That was around the year that School of Rock came out. School of Rock is honestly probably one of the biggest influenced movies of my life, because that's when I just wanted to start playing guitar. My friend Damien, he got a guitar for his birthday and he rang me up, and over the phone he's playing it to me. This sounds sick. Like, I want to come over and jam. So I went over, he taught me how to play Smoke on the Water, and we started a bit of a band. This is how the whole music side started for myself. So I kind of gave up skating, started playing guitar, and I was just hell into it. So we started a band. Damien was on drums and singing, and he got a drum kit as well. And then I was on guitar. We needed a bass player. We got a friend, Daniel. He was playing bass, and we started doing like Green Day covers and Blink-182 covers. Well, basically just a cover band, as most bands probably do start. Did the thing. After a while, we found out that there was a place out the back of Noosa called Boring Point. I do want to go back out there again one day. I want to go out there and take us to Vegas, because there's a chalkboard out there. Every Tuesday night, they have a Musos Jam night. You put your name on the chalkboard, and you hop up and you do your 15 minutes of fame. We went out there. We used to think, like, this is great. I'm so thankful that they have these places, because they gave us a chance. It gave us a bit of a heads up for getting into live music and playing in front of a crowd. Even though we're just playing in front of like senior citizens, they still accepted us being there, and we were pretty loud. We were also terrible, but that's all good. We had to start somewhere. So went out there, put our name on the chalkboard, did a few Blink covers, a few Green Day covers. And then after a bit, Daniel wanted to leave. He wasn't into playing bass. So Damien then went on bass, and we needed a drummer. So Out of nowhere, I knew we had a couple of drummers at our school, but one of the best ones in Australia, Alex Reichelt. I was so stoked that he ended up becoming our drummer. How this came about was just luck. I asked him one day on the way to business class, I've told the story 1,000 times, that I just hit him up, just said, hey mate, do you want to have a jam with us this weekend? He said yes. I'm frothing, I lose it. And then he comes to a jam. He was also in a band at the time. His band hated us for doing that because we kind of stole him and he was kind of cheating on him. But he joined, it was sick, and we ended up playing in bands for years after. So he joins, we take him out to Apollonian Hotel. We think, like Damien and I think we're rock stars at this time because we've got a few gigs under our belt. This is Alex's first gig. He's shitting himself. We get up there, play to the 10 old people. Sorry guys, just had to quickly restart it. There was a bit of a rookie error with the camera, not enough memory. Anyway, where are we? I think we're out at Apollonian Hotel, do the gig. Alex is frothing, like he's finally played his first show. This is what's kickstarted the whole band thing. He actually didn't want to do Blink-182 Green Day covers. Well, especially Green Day. Didn't really like Green Day, but you got to do just something. Anyway, we do the gig and then the band goes for a bit. That band was called Karma. That lasted probably maybe a year after that. I still got videos from that. That was very addictive, I think. Addictive because we loved jamming. They were the fun days of having practice. I mean, I've always loved jamming. I probably prefer jamming more than shows sometimes. I don't know. But anyway, we do the thing, play a gig. We did a few other gigs after that. We were only just kids. I remember one time we played at school and I remember like our singer, Damien, he got embarrassed about something. I think it was just a shit show. And then he ended up running off stage and out this back door. And then Alex and I are on stage just looking at each other like, what the hell? Anyway, that was funny. But after a bit, that band, I remember Damien left school. So he didn't graduate. And I think he just went off and did something else. But we ended up starting a new band shortly after he left school. So we started a band called Wingspan. I wanted to call it Thunder Kicks. Alex said no, that's all good. And then Wingspan started. I went on vocals. I was the front man. Now, the thing with being a front man, I think 50% is confidence, and then the other 50% is actually talent. I had the 50% confidence, which was probably good enough. Didn't have the talent. But so I was doing a bit of screaming. It was a bit more of a heavy band, like a heavy rock band. We tried to be like a band called Morning Tide because I frothed them. Alex did too. And that's who we like idolized, I guess. And then another band called Maylene, a bit of a southern rocky kind of sound. And actually, we also like listened to Bullet for My Valentine, those sort of metal bands. Went through a heavy stage out. This is our emo phase, I guess. And I was the front man, and that was like a revolving door of members, really. To give some honorable mentions to Wingspan, this is when Dean joined. So Dean was he went to Coolum High. We always wanted him in the band, because he was like the best guitarist on Sunny Coast. So he shredded. We knew if he was in a band, this would just be such a help because he was also a writer. So I hit him up one day on MSN, asked if he wanted to be in the band. He said, yeah, frothing up. So he joins. And then we also had Jared. He was already in our band. He went to Coolum as well. That was, he did his thing and then left. And then Ryan. Ryan was another important part of Wingspan. Now, how Ryan came in the band was a funny story. I'll tell this story quickly before we get, because I've got heaps of stories between Ryan and I. So when he joined, he was already in another band. They just finished breaking up. And we used to verse him in Battle of the Bands, and he saw us as his rival. He thought that we hated him. I did not hate him, but he thought that for some reason. Maybe just my look on my face. I just got that look sometimes. I didn't. I thought he was so talented. I thought he'd be a great asset to the band. And I knew he was a great dude as well. Anyway, I hit him up on MySpace after he asked if he wanted to come for a jam. And he assumed for some reason that we were just trying to tee it up so we could bash him. So anyway, I plan on doing it one day, but just not yet. He comes to band practice. And at the time, I remember he rocked up. I think he had a black eye. He was getting really into boxing. So that was probably like the start of Ryan getting into his fighting sort of career. But well, not a fighting career, but or maybe that was the start of his career and we just like stuffed it up for him. He was probably planning on big things, but I ruined it. Sorry, mate. So he joined And he said when he joined, he was going to be our bass player, but he wasn't going to do vocals. Anyway, I had other ideas for him and it worked out pretty good. So he joins, unreal. The band continues on for a bit. We never did any touring. We just played. We got a few big supports and that was kind of it. But I remember our last gig and that was at Diamond Nights. Now, Diamond Nights only ran for probably 2 weeks on the sunny coast or 2 months. And that show was crazy. It was like playing to 400 zombies. They were just like, the crowd was just messy. They're all over each other, trying to crawl on stage and get to us. I don't know why. But we played this gig. And then after it, I was getting sick just before it. I lost my voice completely after that for like 6 months. I had laryngitis, but also had like tonsillitis as well and like other stuff going wrong. But I ended up getting surgery. So I got my tonsils taken out. I got my adenoids taken out. I had a deviated septum. I got that fixed. I just got the works done. Just went in, got a full service, done, dusted, all good. Haven't had tonsillitis since, probably because I don't have tonsils. But got that done. And then we had to change up the band again because we're all best mates. I think the best thing about Take Us to Vegas, or Wings Band at the time, is that we were mates first, band second. And we kind of reshuffled the band. And what we did was I went back on guitar, which is where I should have been in the first place. And then Ryan went on vocals. So like I said, I had other plans for him. That worked out. And then what else happened? We got a new bass player. So that kind of filled that role. And then our other guitarist at the time, Jared, he left. Played the thing. And then we had to come up with a new name. Alex came up with the name Take Us to Vegas. That was when The Hangover was out. So we're watching The Hangover. He comes out of his bedroom and says, why don't we call it Take Us to Vegas? Very suited for I don't know what reason. So we were a very fun band. This is a lot of growing up that happened in this band, a lot of hustling, a lot of networking, a lot of just learning what it was to be in a touring band, really, because we did tour quite a bit. But for the first stint of Take Us to Vegas was just muck around, have fun. And that's what we did with our first album. Did that, got pretty popular like locally, and we're doing heaps of shows. We were playing shows like pretty much nearly every week. And then we got to a stage where I think our bass player at the time, Jester, he moved back to New Zealand, or he just did his thing, and we needed someone else in the band to fill his role. I was friends with this bloke, one of my best mates, Nick Bellringer. So he was in a band at the time. I knew he played guitar and bass in other bands, but he was also a vocalist. He was the package deal, I think. He joined, and he had already had experience in the touring background, and he knew a lot of people. Definitely helped out. He definitely filled a role that we needed to be filled, but also he's also one of my best mates. So it was just perfect. Like I said, Take Us to Vegas was kind of like mates first, band second. So we're very fortunate with that. And then, so he joined, and then we started our new EP. So we became a lot more serious then. Take Us to Vegas was definitely just one of them bands where we are like, it was hard to take us seriously, I think, because when Nick joined, we got a lot more serious with our message and our purpose. But however, we were still larrikins. We posted heaps of funny videos trying to promote our shows. We just did things a bit differently, and that really worked for us. But at the same time, it's kind of hard to be a funny band and a serious band at the same time. I think you got to kind of be one or the other maybe. But some bands pulled off really well. It was just hard for us. It was hard in Australia for us. So when Nick joined, we kind of took on this more business role with Take Us to Vegas, because we're at that age then where things were getting more serious, and we all had our roles in the band where someone was in charge of networking, someone was the writer, someone was in charge of production, and I was given the role of social media. So social media was my thing, and I guess that's why I'm probably been the most socially connected person since, because I've just accidentally taken on that role and used it. So we all did our thing, but I guess this is how I used these kind of techniques that I learned in the band to start a brand, if that makes sense. It will soon. So we did the thing where we had our jobs. It was getting a bit more serious. We started touring, and our first interstate show was with Behind Crimson Eyes. So that was down in Melbourne. We were stoked because we played with them before in Noosa. So they asked us to play with them in Adelaide. That was great. And that was like the start of when we started touring. So after then, we just played all over the place. That was awesome. But it was very hard touring in a new band because you just sleep wherever you can, just sleep on the van, sleep on people's floors in tents. It's just the way it is. And that's when the hustle started. So when you're in a band unsigned touring, you don't get paid. You do what you can. You try to sell merch, and it's just the hard slog until I guess you get signed or whatever. So we started doing that, and then after a bit, we got offered a deal where we we're actually going to move to America. Now, at this time, this is when I started dating Tennille, the love of my life, who we all know and love, and we all started getting new girlfriends, but we're also going to sign this deal and move to America. So we thought hard about it, and then looking back now, it's kind of worked out pretty good that we didn't, because I would hate to be a band. I feel really sorry for bands that are just about to take off right now and you can't play shows for how long? I don't know when, but that would suck. And I feel really sorry for bands that were about to do it. So with this contact that we had and we're going to move away, we started off in Australia with just playing bigger shows. And for one example, we got to play Warped Tour in Australia, just a Brisbane show. But that was such a great day. And I think I'm going to do a podcast just on what it was like to be this young local band, being able to be in this environment with these huge acts. And we're just taking it in, taking every moment in. And it was just so exciting. So yeah, that'll be a few podcasts. Like I said, we're going to do a few stories of things that have happened along the way, some interesting things, some people that I've been able to fortunately meet, and some situations that I've been in that I think will just be fun to document. So Take Us to Vegas went for a bit after that. We didn't sign the contract, and that business isn't around anymore that was going to sign us. So, that's the thing. But they might have been around if we signed it. Who knows? So we're here. We're doing this thing. Nick ended up joining Hand of Mercy. So we needed a bass player again. So fortunately, when I moved to Brisbane in the year, what was it? Year 2008 or 2007. 2008 was kind of when I actually moved here. And I actually became friends with another Liam Hennessy, which sounds weird. So I found him on MySpace. I found myself on MySpace basically. And there was another Liam Hennessy, played in a band, and he was the same age as me. He was a guitarist in a band, lived around the corner, same name, same age, same instrument, freaky. So we became mates. He actually joined Wingspan for a little bit when we needed someone. But I remember going to one of his shows locally, and I filled in on guitar for his band so he could sing. And then at this show, I remember seeing a guy in a band. His name was Josiah. He was in a band called Accept the Consequences. They were fantastic. Good on you, mate. And I just remember that for a bit. So I remember him being a good-looking dude. And yeah, fast forward a few years, I'm getting to know Tennille's friends. And the first time I do a double date with Tennille is with her friend Kelly. And Kelly brings along Joe. Now, I already remember Joe because of the time that I saw him in his band at this gig. Now I'm thinking straight away, I'm thinking a million miles ahead. I'm like, far out, this can't be. Like, here's this dude. He's not in a band anymore. He plays bass. We need a bass player. This could work out well. And he's in the circle. He's in the circle of friends. How good's this? So I hit him up. I'm like, hey, mate, do you want to play bass for us? He says, yeah, bloody oath. He joins the band. I'd take him up to Mooloolaba one night to Dean's house, or it might have been Ryan's house. And we just get shit-faced with him. And this is like what do you call it? Initiation into our band. You basically just get shit-faced with us. That's a thing. And we did that. He joined straight away. Everyone loves him. And the band continues. So after that, we did one more album, and we did some crowdfunding for this album. And that was for a live. We were stoked with that. We had so much support. We did the album and did a bit of touring after that. But then it kind of started to plateau out for a bit. So I think it was probably to do with we didn't sign the deal. We were like independent. It was kind of just fizzling out. We're all getting a bit older and not sure what to do. Anyway, we decided to go on an extended hiatus, I think. Well, first of all, Dean and Joe leave. Dean went to go do his own thing, and then I keep getting names mixed up. Dean went to go do his own thing. Joe opened up a gym that he owns now, which is Hit. And so does Ryan. So they're doing their thing. They're opening up their gyms, and they're fantastic. This is where you get fit, at one of these gyms. He does that. We need some fill-ins. So we get Kurt and Aaron to fill in for a bit. We do a tour with Emery, and that was that's a story in itself I need to talk about. We started off with me on guitar, Ryan singing, Kurt on bass. By the end of the tour, I was singing again for some reason. Ryan's on bass and Kurt's on guitar. And we also borrowed a van off our friend where he just said, yeah, you can borrow it, just bring it back and give it a service. We gave it back to him, not service and a broken window. So definitely a stitch up that happened throughout that whole tour. That was a nightmare, that tour, to be honest. The band fizzled out after that. We went on our extended hiatus, and recently we did a little online thing where we did a live performance with the whole stay at home. And I don't know, hopefully we're planning on doing some shows in the future, see how things go. So going on a few more years, I'm going to hit, so the gym that Ryan and Joe opened, but I'm going to Tennille's cousin's gym. We're doing an 8-week challenge. On my way to this challenge, I get a phone call from Dan Kirby in Behind Crimson Eyes. So when we used to go on tour, we used to stay at the guitarist Aaron's house, big old Azza. And Dan rings me and says, hey mate, we're going on tour with Alexis on Fire and we need a guitarist just for the River Stage show. I'm like, what? And you're asking me? He's like, yeah, mate. I'm like, mate, bloody oath, let's do it. So I say yes to this show. I'm frothing up. Anyway, he rings me back the next day and says, hey mate, bit of a stitch up. Limmy can't do the tour. Do you want to do the whole tour? We'll pay for your flights, accommodation, the lot. I'm like, yes, bloody oath, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm so excited. So I go fly to Melbourne, rehearse with the boys, and I'm on this tour that is just mind-blowing, playing these huge venues. Definitely going to do a story about this and just what it was like to be just in this environment that I've never been in before. But if it wasn't for Take Us to Vegas, I wouldn't have been in that environment. So by the last show, we're playing at River Stage. I invite the boys from Take Us to Vegas along because without them, I wouldn't be there. It's a great night. And we were on a bit early that day, so we didn't get to play to that many people, but that's all good. After that tour, we're, what are we doing? The band asked me if I want to stay with them, help write them 2 new songs because we're playing Unify the next year. So anyway, I'm like, shit, yeah, let's do it. So I joined the band. We write 2 songs. They do absolutely nothing, really. And they're expensive recordings as well. And then we end up playing Unify. That was sick. That was the most memorable moment ever for a few reasons. One, it was a very, very big show. I think we probably played to about, 4,000 people. And just the environment that it was in, just once again, meeting all these big names. But what was different about this show, it was just an absolute chaos before we went on stage. Chaos. Just before this podcast, I was actually on the phone to Josh, the singer. And every time I bring it up, I'm like, remember that time at Unify, what happened? So there's this story that I'm going to tell that was just panic. He panics when I mention it. And without Parkway Drive and the Architects, it would have been a completely different story. They came to our saviour and we ended up playing a great show, but without them, we would have been fucked. So that year, just before the Christmas before, that was in January, just before Tennille and I got engaged, I was going to do it at Unify in front of all the people. She said, I don't want to do it in front of people. She'll be off it. And so I ended up doing it just her and I in the kitchen. So that ended up being the thing. The following year, we did Unify. We went to New Zealand, did a trip in New Zealand. That was when I first did a campaign overseas with Shred Life. What a time that was and what a game changer that was. And then the following year, we got married and traveled the world basically on the most incredible honeymoon. I want to talk about that, just some travel stories. I know we can't travel at the moment, but guess what? We're going to go again, and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to being able to travel again. I'm not going to do it straight away. I'm going to let the world get back to normal a bit more first before I go away because, I know, pilots might need a bit of rehearsals first, and then we're going to go away again. Anyway, so last year, big time with Shred Life. We are at the end of the year after traveling on our honeymoon, came home, did this thing called the Varsity Range. That was huge. Went to America, Kurt and I, we did our campaign over in pretty much across America. That was incredible. Bit of a boys trip. Kurt and I are definitely going to do a podcast on that, just that trip and how different the lifestyle was being over there. It was kind of like we finally got to tour America, but not in music. It was with a band. No, it was with a brand. And then, yeah, here are we. Well, this year, what an exciting year this has been. So I'm going to finally wrap it up. There was my life story, basically. And this year's just been, I don't know, what a roller coaster. I mean, it started with the bushfires. Fortunately, with Shred Life, I don't know how, but the support has been absolutely amazing. And we were able to raise $54,000, which is just still mind-blowing. So we donated that to those that needed it in the bushfires. That was Tennille's idea. She gets full credit. We both want to do something, but she came up with the idea of what the shirt was going to be. Unreal. And then, yeah, we got some help with Dale and Chrissy and packing all the orders. That was just 4 days of just hecticness. And then, yeah, what's going on after that? Just, I don't know, coronavirus. That sucks. But you know what? I've seen a lot of good this year. I've seen a lot of people get their creative side out, and I love it. So those people that businesses have suffered, I feel really sorry for you guys. That sucks so much. And the people that have been able to adapt, how good. Like, I'm good on you. You're the best, and good work. Like, keep it up. You guys are going to get through it. Fantastic. So I really admire the people that are doing what they can to push through this. I'm not really doing much. I'm just trying to talk into a microphone. So anyway, I'm probably going to wrap it up there, guys. Thanks heaps much. I don't know how long that went for. Probably about 100 minutes. But yeah, thank you. So I like to be very interactive with my work that I post. So I think I might jump on Facebook or Instagram and say, what do you want me to talk about? I've got a few stories. Let's talk about them. I got left at Kingscliff one time with no shirt, no phone, no wallet. And I was there by myself. I went down with like 300 people and somehow got trapped there. So there's a fun story. How did I get home? You'll find out. Anyway, all right, I'm wrapping it up there. Tennille just asked if I was going to be able to help her with the washing. Yep, I will. So thank you. Thank you very much. And I'll chat to you soon. You know, not much.